When my best friend sat me down and told me it was time we both grew up, I thought maybe that ought to be a wake-up call. And then when he took it a step further and said he no longer wanted to be called Paps, like he had been for almost 15 years, I decided that maybe it was time to check in the mirror to see if I was getting as gray as he was. Gunner Paps Godet had been my fellow Marine, sidekick, partner in crime, wingman, and confidant since we'd both arrived at the Marine Corps recruit depot in San Diego for boot camp. It had been a fluke that Godet was even there. Given he was an East Coast boy, he should have been sent to Parris Island in South Carolina. But his dad was a USMC 08, also known as a two-star, who oversaw the base at Camp Pendleton, north of San Diego. That meant Gunner had his pick. I hadn't cared either way, although everybody I served with later told me how damned lucky I'd been to end up where I had. "What the hell are you doing now?" Gunner asked. Truth was, I was standing in front of a mirror, giving myself a pep talk. It wasn't being a groomsman in our mutual friend's wedding that worried me, or even that K-19 Security Solutions, the company Gunner and I owned with two other partners, was morphing so quickly I hardly recognized it anymore. Instead, it was the woman my friend's fiancé had paired me up with in the wedding party. Avery McNamara, who I should have forgotten months ago, wound up center stage in every fantasy I'd had when I needed to take the edge off. It didn't help that the one and only time I'd met her in person, she was wearing the hottest damn bikini I'd ever seen. She'd let me know in no uncertain terms that she was interested that day, but I hadn't been able to take her up on it. I'd been on the clock, filling in as her friend's bodyguard long before she knew she had one. I'd known a lot about Ava prior to her coming on to me that day, but I hadn't allowed myself to get to know her in the intimate way she was suggesting. "It's a damn tuxedo," Gunner griped, interrupting my thoughts of the gorgeous woman I was about to see for the first time in over a year. "There's only one way to wear it. Nobody gives a shit what you look like anyway. Let's go." It wasn't unusual for Gunner to be grouchy. I hadn't really known him to be any other way. But in the last 6 months, it had gotten a lot worse. I understood why, though. No one else had been under K-19's watch for as long as Lena Barbie Hess had been. When she went off her rocker, decided to make a deal with some really bad Russian dudes, and then threatened to kill one of our own, Gunner had been forced to take her down. I rubbed my chest where it still hurts to think about. It had to be so much worse for him. It wasn't just that Gunner was responsible for Lena's death. I suspected that, at some point, he'd fallen in love with our former commander's daughter. He'd never admitted it, though, and I respected that. "What is with you?" Gunner asked when we got in the car, and I rolled my shoulders. "I don't want to talk about it." I realized that Gunner might be under the impression I was thinking about Barbie, too, considering she had been the mother of the woman getting married today. "Ava McNamara," I admitted. "Odd little number. Her twin, too. How is she a problem?" "I can't stop thinking about her." "That's not like you," Gunner muttered. "You should have seen the bikini she had on that day on Fire Island." I'd spent a total of 20 minutes with her, so for her to be on my mind at all was unusual. But the fantasies, shit.